Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're new to the channel and haven't at least checked out the introduction video to this series yet, I'd suggest watching that first, since I talk about what the goal of this series is, and I go through a quick explanation of character growth. To those of you who are all caught up, in this video we'll be analyzing another of Ahsoka's character traits which she should have grown out of, taking a close look at what the writers really gave us, and seeing what we can learn from what they did and didn't do. Remember, two of the things necessary for proper character growth are that we need to see the character's changed behavior, and it has to be logical based on the experiences we have seen them go through. So let's get into it. Season 1, Episode 2, Rising Malevolence. As mentioned in the previous video, this is Ahsoka's first appearance in the series, and it really sets the stage for what we can expect to see in the rest of the series. Plo Koon contacts Anakin, asking for reinforcements, and Anakin responds that they need to talk to the Council first, since they were given strict orders to protect a specific area. But Ahsoka, instead of waiting to hear what the Council says, immediately insists,
"We have to go help him."
In addition to showing her egotistical disrespect, which we talked about in the last video, and her impatience, which we will talk about in a future video, this moment also shows that whereas Anakin makes sure that his current responsibilities are taken care of before he runs off to see if he can help elsewhere too, Ahsoka is short-sighted, not considering or outright ignoring the big picture repercussions before acting, which often leads to her acting in disobedience. In addition to being so focused on playing hero to Plo Koon that she ignores their current responsibilities. Season 1, Goldie arc. When boarding a Trandoshan scavenger vessel in search of R2-D2 because he's carrying important, sensitive intel, Ahsoka refuses to play along with Anakin's ruse, potentially blowing their cover, which could ruin any chance of finding R2-D2 if he was there, which he is. And throughout the arc, even when it becomes increasingly clear that Goldie is either grossly incompetent or else traitorous, Ahsoka ignores the threat he poses to the big picture and instead digs in her heels with regard to defending and supporting him.
I think I'm lucky to be alive.
Great! Now you hurt his feelings.
You think R3's gonna open up that door anytime soon?
He's working on it. Patience, Captain.
Season 1, Episode 9, Cloak of Darkness. Ahsoka wants to help fight Ventress, so she disobeys direct orders to guard Nute Gunray and leaves her post, enabling a traitor to murder several clones and help Gunray escape. Season 1, Episode 13, Jedi Crash. Ahsoka disobeys a direct order by Master Sakura to help fly the ship because she wants to help Anakin. But as Ayla tells her, the best way to help Anakin is to fly the ship to safety. Soon after this, she argues with Sakura about temporarily shutting off the life support, ignoring the fact that to leave it on means they'll crash into a star and they'll all die. Ayla later tries to teach her an important lesson.
I realized that for the greater good, I had to let him go. Don't lose 1,000 lives just to save one.
Keep that in mind. We'll come back to that. Season 1, Episode 19, Storm over Ryloth. Ahsoka, multiple times, disobeys direct orders to retreat because of the arrival of enemy reinforcements, which she can see, but she forges ahead anyway, ignoring what is at stake.
Commander, we've been caught in a trap.
You're overreacting, Admiral. I can get us through. Blue Squadron, stay the course.
Get your pilots out of there.
Her reckless actions end up getting her entire squadron and thousands of others killed, and nearly ruins their mission of opening a way for relief to be brought to the oppressed people on Ryloth. This episode is held up as another milestone in Ahsoka's character arc. After this colossal screw-up, Anakin explicitly tells her,
"There's a bigger picture that you're not aware of. First rule of war, listen and obey your superiors."
And fans claim that Ahsoka learns her lesson. She realizes her actions can get people killed, and she feels remorse. So much remorse, apparently, that at the beginning of the very next episode she's in, Season 2, Episode 1, Holocron Heist, Ahsoka multiple times disobeys direct orders to retreat because of the arrival of enemy reinforcements, and this results in the deaths of more of her men. Her explanation for this behavior?
I just got so caught up in my own success, I didn't look at the battle as a whole.
Deja vu. Just like Storm over Ryloth, instead of considering the big picture, she's more focused on her own success.
Let's make a good impression.
That's not character growth. Season 2, Episode 2, Cargo of Doom. Anakin twice orders Ahsoka to wait.
Ahsoka, wait! It's a trap! Ahsoka, wait! We'll take him together!
She completely ignores him and ends up falling into Bane's trap, forcing Anakin to choose between sacrificing her life or giving Bane access to the list of Force-sensitive children. Season 2, Episode 5, Landing at Point Ring. Ahsoka, while their squad is under heavy enemy fire, worries that Obi-Wan could be injured or worse, and it seems she wants Anakin to just drop what they are doing to go and find Kenobi. Anakin has to instruct her to
Keep your mind in the here and now, otherwise we'll never be able to help Obi-Wan.
Season 2, Episode 17, Bounty Hunters. Ahsoka throws a tantrum, insisting that they must play hero to the village of farmers.
We couldn't help even if we wanted to.
What? Master, these farmers are in trouble. Why can't we help them?
She's not considering the big picture, which Obi-Wan reminds her they have a duty to report back to the Republic about a destroyed medical station. Not to mention that if they stay too long, the Separatists will come looking for them there, and probably do more harm to the village than the pirates would. Season 3, Episode 6, Academy. Lives are in danger. The whole planet may lose its freedom, and Ahsoka decides to lie to the students and keep them in the dark when they could be of help to her in finding and rescuing Satine. Think about it. She tells the students she has a plan, and they are to act when she signals them. But she won't tell them what the signal is, or how they are to act when she gives it. Then she mind tricks the guard to take her to Satine, and just tries to get away with her. So obviously her plan didn't involve the students at all. But wait, it was a trap. The guards weren't really mind tricked, they were just pretending. So Ahsoka gets captured, and Satine gets tortured by electrocution. Was that part of the plan, Ahsoka? When Satine still refuses to give Almec what he wants, then he brings in all of the kids so they can torture just Corky. And then Ahsoka shouts, "Go!" And the kids attack the guards and overpower them. All right, now the kids are involved. So was that the plan? Given that she'd have no way of knowing that the guards wouldn't fall for her mind trick, or that Satine wouldn't just cave to Almec under torture, or that Almec would then bring in all the kids, or that the kids, whom she had to rescue earlier when they weren't handcuffed, would now have the knowledge and ability to take out trained armed guards? Yeah, I seriously doubt that she had a plan at all. But rather than considering the risk and admitting she needs help, she lies and hopes for the best. She's only thinking about herself and making sure she looks good. Season 3, Mortis arc. Ahsoka is put in charge of fixing the ship so they can leave as soon as possible, because every moment they stay, they are in danger. But she stops to take a nap when she's almost finished. Later, Obi-Wan orders her to disable the ship because Anakin has joined with the sun and cannot be allowed to leave the planet. But Ahsoka argues with him through gritted teeth because
I just finished putting it back together.
She's not considering how dangerous it would be for the literal embodiment of the dark side to escape with the Chosen One as his ally. Season 3, Citadel arc. Ahsoka disobeys direct orders and tags along on a dangerous and sensitive mission. She doesn't consider the sheer importance of this mission and how she might jeopardize it through her unauthorized presence. And to ward off reprimand, she claims,
If there's one thing I've learned from you, Master, it's that following direct orders isn't always the best way to solve a problem.
But what is the problem she's trying to solve here? Quite simply, it's that she was being left behind. She's only thinking of herself. This is nothing comparable to Anakin ensuring that his responsibilities are covered before he attempts to rescue Plo Koon or R2-D2. Season 3, Episode 22, Wookie hunt. During the climax of the arc, Ahsoka chases after the Trandoshan leader Garnak after he retreats. She doesn't need to go after him. She would be of more help to her friends if she stayed with them. But she disregards the big picture and leaves the younglings and Chewbacca in danger so she can get revenge on Garnak. Season 4, Zargarian Slaver Arc. Ahsoka abandons her role as a pretend slave in order to play hero by interfering with an abusive master.
You don't want to do that.
She ignores the fact that her slave ruse is necessary to help find and rescue a whole settlement, 50,000 kidnapped Togruta people. Remember what Ayla told her back in season 1?
Don't lose 1,000 lives just to save one.
Ahsoka obviously did not learn that lesson. Near the end of the arc, when Anakin mentions that they and all of the slaves will be escaping the mining installation, Ahsoka comments,
We'll need a bigger ship.
was she not considering they'd be rescuing the slaves? Season 4, episode 14, A Friend in Need. Ahsoka abandons her role, whatever it was, in the peace talks so she can go play hero to Lux. Before she leaves, Padme orders her to
Be discreet.
On the way to get him off the Separatist ship, Ahsoka follows that instruction. On the way out, she disobeys this order and makes a huge ruckus that results in violence between the factions on a pacifist planet and directly leads to collapsing the negotiations, plus the deaths of Senate guards, and she leaves the Republic senators stranded in a volatile situation.
Captain Taggart, we've got incoming clankers.
We'll cover you, sir.
Ahsoka, Padme just contacted me. She told me the peace negotiations have all but collapsed.
Remember, again, don't lose 1,000 lives to just save one, but she ignores the monumental importance of the peace talks just to save Lux, who actually didn't want or even need her help. Later, Ahsoka abandons her self-assigned role as meek and mild betrothed to Lux in order to play hero by going up against all of Death Watch with nothing but her fists, not even considering that once she drops the ruse, Lux's life is forfeit also. I want to note the interesting tactic the writers use here to twist the framing of Ahsoka's choice. Although Tryla, the self-proclaimed simple village girl, has zero reason to think that Ahsoka is any different than she is, has any ability to act, in her last breath, she begs Ahsoka to save her people. Of course, the audience won't sympathize with a character who would just stand by and do nothing after such a plea, so Ahsoka's decision is given a pass. The writers purposely crafted that moment so Ahsoka could make a bad decision and look good for doing it. Season 4, episode 16, Friends and Enemies. Ahsoka fails to see how she's endangering Anakin, both physically and mentally, by going along with him in his hunt for revenge. Season 5, Anderon arc. At the beginning of the arc, Ahsoka can't see past her own petty jealousy to remember the reason they are there, and Anakin reminds her several times throughout the arc.
Remember your purpose.
Always put purpose ahead of your feelings. Remember, purpose must come before feelings.
Keep that in mind. It comes up again too. Later in the arc, Ahsoka disobeys direct orders not to reveal the Republic involvement in the rebellion. She exposes herself in order to play hero to the general, who willingly sacrificed himself so the rebels could escape. So she still hasn't learned. Don't lose 1,000 lives just to save one. And since she only saved him so no one would feel bad about his death, she's also ignoring the lesson of purpose before feelings. Afterwards, she acts like the whole situation is a joke.
I knew you couldn't resist a good fight.
Am I becoming that predictable?
She obviously doesn't see the big picture, which is that A, she's effectively destroyed the Council's experiment, which she claimed to understand.
But remember, if this experiment is to become an effective strategy, they must learn to survive on their own.
Yes, Master Kenobi. I understand.
And B, she's endangered them all by her actions. As a direct result of exposing the Republic involvement, the Separatists come down fast and hard on the rebellion and almost wipe them out. And at the end of the arc, when things are looking beyond hope, she's given orders to evacuate as many of the rebels as she can save. She disobeys this order too, not even telling the rebels it's an option. Reminds me of Storm over Ryloth. Ahsoka considers a tactical retreat as just a failure to impress, so of course she won't even suggest it to the rebels. Season 5 Younglings arc. After the Younglings disobey direct orders and risk their lives, others' lives, their Kyber crystal, and their ship, which carries objects and intel of immense value, in order to rescue Ahsoka, she tells them that they did the right thing.
Disobeyed orders.
Well, I've learned from my master that sometimes doing the right thing means bending the rules.
Again, this is not comparable to Anakin's behavior. In the case of both Plo Koon and R2-D2, no one else was going to attempt a rescue. But here, Kenobi told the Younglings to stay put because he would go rescue Ahsoka. They just got impatient. And also, her praising them for risking so much just for her is in direct contradiction to what Ayla tried to teach her about letting go of attachments for the greater good. What Ahsoka is teaching these kids is antithetical to the Jedi values. Later, she gets upset at Hondo when he encourages the Younglings.
So why the big show?
She's so short-sighted by her dislike of him that she doesn't consider the benefit of giving the children a morale boost right before they are thrust into a dangerous battle. Season 5 Finale arc. She disobeys Anakin when he gives her explicit orders to stop running, put down her lightsabers, and come back with him so they can sort things out.
You need to come back and make your case to the Council.
No!
She can't see past her own fear and distrust and doesn't consider how her actions will just add to her appearance of guilt. And while on the run, she promises Ventress a full pardon for her crimes in return for a modicum of assistance.
I'll get you a full pardon for your crimes.
Literally, all Ventress does is help find a phone and warehouse so that a Padawan can clear her name. And that's worthy of a full pardon for her crimes? Talk about short-sighted. But I guess Ahsoka doesn't care about injustice as long as she gets what she wants. And while the Jedi Order has many flaws, it cannot be denied that they are of great help to many in need. Their goal, their purpose, is to bring peace. And Anakin even tells her in the first episode of this arc.
There are going to be Jedi who disappoint us, Ahsoka. But as long as we know there are good Jedi who fight for what's right, it makes it all worthwhile.
But Ahsoka is upset at how the Council treated her, and so she chooses to leave, rather than continue serving as best she can in the name of peace with the immense resources available to her as a Jedi. One could say it shows she hasn't learned purpose must come before feelings. Season 7, Martez sister arc. When meeting their prospective client on Kessel, Ahsoka openly challenges and not so subtly accuses them of being a corrupt criminal. Her suspicions based solely on a stereotype.
Many things can be made out of spice, and they're not all good.
What she doesn't consider is that there are two outcomes. Either she's right, and by doing this she risks provoking the host and putting them all in danger, or she's wrong, and by doing this she risks insulting the host and losing what she should know is an extremely important opportunity for the sisters. Once the spice has been dumped, Ahsoka comes up with a terribly short-sighted plan to get around it. Her plan hinges on using a Jedi mind trick, something she knows from her experience on Mandalore in Season 3 doesn't always work. And despite a group of gangsters being present, she just uses it on one guy and expects nothing to go wrong. Plus, even if they got out of there without a problem, they would still be found out quickly and hunted down. Yikes. Even though the sisters don't have the full picture, they're right when they say,
I can tell you, it's not going to work.
Why?
Because it's a bad plan. It is a pretty bad plan.
And after claiming that her purpose in tagging along with the sisters is to keep them out of trouble, she chooses not to use her Force abilities to free them from prison and torture because she's afraid they won't like her anymore. Looks like she still hasn't figured out purpose before feelings. Later, Ahsoka chooses to blow up the Pike factory and everyone in it, telling herself that she's doing some good, not considering that many of the people there may be just like the Martez sisters, people who are desperate or scared or just trying to stay alive in the only ways they know how. Season 7, Mandalore arc. Ahsoka insists on taking a squadron of clones so that she can go play hero to the neutral system of Mandalore, even though taking Republic troops there will result in breaking 100-year-old treaties.
If Republic forces aid you in your assault, it will break treaties that are 100 years old. We will effectively be drawn into yet another war.
Not to mention, leave less troops available to protect the Republic capital, which is currently under attack.
Ahsoka, surely you understand. This is a pivotal moment in the Clone Wars. The heart of the Republic is under attack.
I understand that as usual you're playing politics.
Right now, people on Coruscant need us.
No. The Chancellor needs you.
This is not just short-sighted, this is willful ignorance of the big picture. Quite similar to seeing 4 more battle cruisers appear and charging full steam ahead anyway. Looks like her behavior hasn't changed much since season 1. But even aside from all that, she's also not considering that all she's really doing is taking control of the planet out of the hands of a crime lord and giving it into the hands of a terrorist who knowingly helped put that crime lord in power. Later, Ahsoka agrees to help Maul take down Darth Sidious, only to immediately turn on him when he says that Anakin has been groomed as Sidious's next apprentice and Maul was going to kill him.
With your help, the Jedi can stop Sidious before it's too late. What do you want with Anakin Skywalker?
He has long been groomed for his role as my master's new apprentice.
I know Anakin.
She chooses to fight to defend Anakin rather than fight to defend the entire galaxy. That reminds me of something. Oh yeah!
I realized that for the greater good, I had to let him go. Don't lose 1,000 lives just to save one.
Maybe.
You reveal your short-sightedness.
Lesson not learned, growth not achieved. Also, since we're on the topic of being short-sighted, Ahsoka is constantly insisting that others need to have a plan, or she's ragging on them for not having a good enough plan. Given the evidence I have just laid out, this is sheer hypocrisy.
We need a new plan! Luminara Unduli may be a Jedi Master, but she has no idea what that bog witch is capable of. No idea. Are you sure that's the wisest thing? You don't even have a plan?
You also implied that my plans put a lot of people at risk.
And the plan is? This is another fine mess you've gotten us into. We have to find another way. You don't understand how terrible these things are. Are you sure that's a good idea? You should take this slowly. Examine all of the facts and all of the people involved before you act. That's your plan? What's the plan? But you can't let your fear control you. I like your thinking, but what's the strategy? So, what's your plan? Your plan hasn't exactly been well thought out, Lux. What have you gotten us into? Plan? What plan? You don't know what you're doing. We need a plan to get inside the city. You have to weigh the risk. I hope Chancellor Palpatine knows what he's doing. You don't know what those droids could be used for. How can she possibly know what we're up against? I'm sorry, did either of you have a better one? We wouldn't be here if you hadn't taken the job with the Pikes. This isn't a good idea.
So what have we seen here? In season 1, the writers gave her an experience related to the trait she was supposed to grow out of. She neglects to consider the big picture, and the death toll is catastrophic. But if she truly learned her lesson and felt remorse, then we should see a lasting change in her behavior. Because if someone really feels sorry for harm that they have caused, they work to discontinue the behavior that led to that harm. But just like with her cockiness and disrespect, we see over and over and over again Ahsoka displaying the exact same short-sighted and disobedient behavior as she did before her experience in Storm over Ryloth, making this claim a total lie.
As you well know, I can follow orders.
Something interesting I want to note is that I actually don't have any examples of her disobeying orders after season 5, but that's because as a regular citizen, she's not given any direct orders. If, for example, you have a character that needs to learn to control their temper, but then they stop running into situations that test their temper, that doesn't equate to them having learned anger management. You can't just avoid triggers of a character trait and pretend that it's growth. It's not growth. It's just sweeping it under the rug, which I'll talk about more in a later video. For now, the best way to fix this would simply be to have her behavior change. In the beginning of Holocron Heist, it would be okay to see her falter toward previous behavior, but then she should check herself and correct her behavior, not wanting to make the same mistake as she did last time, not wanting to cause more deaths. And then the opening quip of a lesson learned is a lesson earned would actually make sense and be, well, earned. But alas, Ahsoka's short-sightedness and disobedience are yet another part of her character that are present throughout the Clone Wars series, showing she has no remorse for the consequences of her actions. But what about her other traits? In the next installment of this case study, I'll be focusing on Ahsoka's aggressive behavior and analyzing whether the writers did well or poorly in having her grow out of that trait. So don't forget to subscribe, and if you liked this video, please leave it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments how you would rewrite Storm over Ryloth and Holocron Heist to give Ahsoka a real opportunity to show growth. Also, we have a Patreon, so if you want to help support our content creation, be sure to check that out. See you around! You're doing it wrong! You're doing it wrong! We're gonna roll with that. Who wrote these sentences, man? Short-sighted and disobedient. These traits are yet another part of Ahsoka's character that are present throughout the Clone Wars. Who wrote that? When boarding a Trandoshan scavenger Ahsoka wants to help Vite Ventress. She's going to Vite Ventress. Ahsoka multiple times disobeys. She disobeys. And Satine gets tortured by execution. Tortured by execution. We're doing great.